From Jaguar Stadium on the campus of San Jose City College, it's a West Catholic Athletic League showdown. The visiting St. Francis Lancers of Mountain View take on the home team, the Bellarmine Bells of San Jose. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kirsten Fairchilds alongside Philip Kern. St. Francis in their traveling white jerseys with brown pants, brown numbers. Currently in a tie with Archbishop Mitty for 4th in league. The Lancers will look to defensive standout Stephen Deneen to help hand the Bells only their second loss of the season.
And in a 3-4 scheme, St. Francis has asked a lot of their outside linebackers, and Deneen, with all that extra responsibility, has really thrived in that system. 12 sacks, leads the West Catholic Athletic League, and in addition to that, leads the team in tackles as well with 53. So look for Stephen Deneen to do a lot of different things. Play in coverage, set the edge, rush the passer. He's going to have a lot on his plate in order to contain this Bellarmine rushing attack.
We'll talk about the Bellarmine's featured player, but St. Francis won the toss, deferred to the second half. The Bells asked for the ball. Bellarmine 7-1, 4-1 in WCAL share first place with Sarah and Valley Christian. The Bells in their traveling blue with white pants and white numbers. St. Francis to kick it off. Trillian Abear kicking left to right here at Jaguar Stadium on the campus of San Jose City College. As back deep for the Bells, Devin Buonrosta, but taken by an up man from the 20 and dropped at the 31 as the Bellarmine Bells go to work in their double wing offense. The starting line: Wolfie Raybach is the tackle, Charles Garza the guard, Joe Goody the center, Bobby Facchino another guard, and Jacob Bergstrom the right tackle. The tight ends: Will Crummy, Josh Bringel. The wingback is Kyle McCauley. The tailback is Anthony Gudadaro. Kurt Calamini, the fullback, and Griffin Quinn will alternate every single play at quarterback with Troy Martin. Quinn in for the first play. Bellarmine, we're underway. And the handoff, very little there as we get to the defensive starters for St. Francis. The Lancers open in a 3-4 defense. The D tackles: Anthony Gabb and Adam Poltrak. Thomas Noki is the nose guard, a D1 prospect. The outside linebackers: Devin Hurtado and Stephen Deneen. The inside linebackers: Kevin Glacian and Justin Dunn. The corners: Jonathan Fagoni and Armani Price. The strong safety is Ryan Rasmussen. Nolan Barber is the free safety. On 2nd and 9, a sweep around the right side, and a terrific tackle right in front of the Lancers sideline as Kyle McCauley dealt the hurt early. Armani Price with the tackle.
There you see a lot of motion in this Bellarmine offense, and giving that ball to McCauley at the really getting that carry early on. And of course, they're utilizing motion quite a bit, but so far St. Francis really able to set that edge very nicely.
3rd and 5 for the Bells. We saw Troy Martick, number 7, take over at quarterback, and right back to Griffin Quinn, number 10. Quinn looking to throw on 3rd down. He's got an outplay, but nowhere near the intended receiver, as the St. Francis Lancers fans across the way from us really excited, as that will force the punt team for Bellarmine to come out, and Griffin Quinn, the starting quarterback, is the punter for the Bells.
A strong opening series for those St. Francis Lancers, a 3 and out, and really forcing Quinn into that incompletion. You could see actually some pressure getting into the face of Quinn, and not really able to complete that route either was Joseph McEntee. So a strong defensive start for the Lancers.
Quinn from his 25, a booming punt. Ryan Rasmussen is going to let it bounce for St. Francis. And the Lancers will have 1st and 10 from the 24 as St. Francis, the offense is a pro-style offense. The left tackle is Zach Toussaint. The left guard is Ryan Moles. Austin Denham is the center. The right guard is Kevin Glacian, and Alex Hall is the right tackle. The tight end is Joe Mahanovic. The running back is Ludovico Ohoya. The fullback is Dennis Green. The wide receivers are Trill Hebert and Darius Thomas. And number 2, the junior quarterback, a transfer from Austin, Texas, Kamali'i Akina. Under center for the Lancers, and it's a run play off the right tackle. Pickup of about 3 as the Bellarmine Bells, a 3-5 defense. The defensive tackles, William Bowes and Logan Wilson. Oshana Isaac is the nose guard. The outside linebackers, Vince Fernandez and Josh Bringel. The inside linebackers, Will Crummy, Jacob Bergstrom, and Kurt Calamini. The corners, Will Mingrone, and Devin Buenostro. The safety is Kyle McCauley. So a number of these players playing both ways tonight for St. Francis. A lot of injuries in the season. That's one reason why. As a handoff to the fullback, I believe that was, actually the running back, that is Ahoya, coming off a record-setting week last week, a record-setting campaign. Let's take a look at this junior.
Really nothing spectacular. He just takes what the defense is giving him, and so far it's actually put St. Francis into a 3rd and manageable from their own 30-yard line. But I love these balanced offensive attacks because it really forces the defense to react rather than just go forth and try to play their scheme.
On 3rd and 4, and they're not going to get it. So a very huge crowd here on the Bellarmine side. It is senior night tonight, a great ceremony beforehand as the punt team comes on for the Lancers, coached by Greg Calcagno in his 2nd year. The punter is Trill Hebert. Bellarmine Bells head coach Mike Jandon, his 31st year. We'll talk more about these well-pedigreed coaches as this game goes on. Vince Fernandez at about the 31 of Bellarmine, awaiting the Hebert punt. So good punts here in the early going, and a very friendly St. Francis bounce. 8:20 left to go in the first quarter. 0-0 the score as Bellarmine comes out for its 2nd drive.
Not real much diversity in the play calling so far from either side. Both teams deciding to stick to the run early on, maybe trying to do some early scouting as to how these defenses have set up their tendencies. Of course, there's always this session of film study in the days leading up to a game, obviously, but sometimes adjustments can be made during the course of the game and even sometimes from the first play on. So maybe seeing if either team will tip their hand.
Mardick in at quarterback. The handoff. Some good blocking up front and a healthy gain for the ball carrier. Not one of our
I believe that
starters.
It was actually Antonio Garcia on the carry.
Antonio Garcia, the 5'8", 155-pound junior. Pickup of 3 by Garcia, 2nd and 7 from the Bellarmine 18. Quinn now in at quarterback. Again, they'll alternate every single play. Quinn looking to throw, looks toward his right, and in and out of the hands of McCauley. Again, right in front of the St. Francis Lancers sideline. Philip, there were rallies this week, both schools. They're so fired up for this game. This really is a rivalry game here in the West Catholic Athletic League.
And it's really one of the older rivalries in the entire league. Of course, they've seen the West Catholic League undergo some changes. As you see some great defense there by Armani Prince on that play, and really disciplined to not draw that pass interference call. I think some of the Bellarmine sideline wanted that. But even with all the changes that the West Catholic has gone through, with some schools being added, some maybe going on to some other things, these two have been constants for many, many years, and the rivalry roots run deep. They really do.
On 3rd and 7. This time, the other quarterback, and that was through the hands of the intended receiver. And once again, in a blink of an eye, it's 3 and done as out comes Quinn to punt once again. 7:30 left to go in the first.
And I'm wondering if what Coach Mike Janda's approach is to see which quarterback gets the hot hand early on and maybe go with them for some time, because I always find it very fascinating with offenses that go back and forth between quarterbacks. I've never really been of one to subscribe to that notion, because you would think that you would want to get some chemistry with your offense with one quarterback under center.
I agree. I remember just a few years ago that was San Jose State's modus operandi, but they switched off every series. They didn't switch off every play as Bellarmine backs up 5 yards more on the false start as our referee Phil Beltran with the penalty, and that sends Quinn back into his end zone. Rasmussen hanging out at his own 44. Again, we saw two respectable punts in the by each team, as actually a different Lancer. It was Trill Hebert, the punter, on the punt return. So fair catch and great field position for St. Francis. It'll be 1st and 10 from the St. Francis 49-yard line. And Philip, as I mentioned, Greg Calcagno in his 2nd year as the head coach. His father, Ron, a longtime coach at St. Francis. In fact, the stadium over in Mountain View named for Rod Calcagno. Again, we'll talk more about these coaches as the night goes on. And the handoff, and great second, third plus effort by the Lancers as up pops Ludovico Ahoya, the 5'8", 185-pound junior that just had the game of his life last week against Sacred Heart Cathedral.
And much better leg power there. I mean, he took about 3 Bellarmine defenders with him. I mean, you love seeing your running back get that extra effort, but you really want to emphasize ball security on those types of runs too.
Still looking for our first down of the game. And looked like, we'll see where this ball is spotted. Looked like Hurtado had enough for a 1st down. And that'll move the sticks. 1st and 10 for St. Francis from the Bells 40-yard line.
And you really like to see what the Lancers are doing. They haven't really gotten the Bells set up to try to really rush that line of scrimmage, but I'm betting that the advantage with this pro-style offense is that there's going to be some elements of play action that mixed in. Of course, you're seeing the very tough 2 yards, which is enough for the 1st down. But I'm willing to bet that as this ground game gets established, they're going to try and set up Bellarmine for that play action. Just look for that to take place here soon.
Once again, the handoff to the junior running back. This time, Bellarmine, the swarming defense. And actually, it is Ahoya tackled for a loss.
Even that, I think they'll give him
back to the line of scrimmage.
Forward progress back to the line of scrimmage. So obviously no harm done there. But I mean, got to give the Bells defense credit. They are making some good stops right now. But you can see the Lancers really starting to get momentum, and the short field definitely helps.
2nd and 10 for the Lancers, currently ranked number 8 by the Mercury News in Central Coast Section Football. First pass play is caught, and it is complete. So the Lancers go to the air, and Hebert, the 6'1", 160-pound senior wideout, with the catch and a 1st down.
13-yard completion right there to Hebert, his first catch of the night. And a nice rollout here, and you really have to be decisive on these rollout plays. And look at the body control. Even getting both feet in, that's an NFL caliber catch right there to get both feet in bounds. So Hebert, well done.
5:30 left to go in the 1st. It's 1st and 10 from the Bellarmine 28. Hurtado, this time tackled in the backfield, and once again bringing the heat is Jacob Bergstrom, number 51 for Bellarmine.
He's having a hard time really finding those lanes there, and the Bells defense not really making it easy for him. And right there, he's met at the line of scrimmage. That's something that you don't want to see if you are St. Francis, because if they're getting to the runner at the line of scrimmage, I'll tell you what, there's going to be some issues that the Lancers are going to have to fix on that offensive line. But so far, not too bad. This is by far their best drive of the evening, but you don't like to see that happen very often.
2nd and 11 for St. Francis. Inside 5 minutes, 1st quarter action at Jaguar Stadium, the home of the San Jose City College, and that pass overthrown, and the late flag comes in. It looks like they're going to get McCauley for PI, but I think you're going to have a discussion whether that ball was even catchable. It appeared the contact was made after the throw, and no, they're going to call St. Francis for a hold. Bellarmine fans don't like it. Let's take another look.
Well, the difference is it's not really PI, but there you see the hold right there at the end. That was actually number 15, Wilman Groan, who actually grabbed on the jersey a little bit. So not pass interference per se, but it is a hold, and that actually is the right call.
Stephen Deneen, the intended receiver, 2nd and 1 after the 10-yard penalty.
And it's still going to be 2nd and 1, so a gift right now for the St. Francis Lancers.
I formation for St. Francis. And you see once again, I mean, Bergstrom is just blasting his way through the St. Francis line. The running back evaded him a bit, but no gain on the play. 3rd and 1. St. Francis does have a kicker with range. However, it looks like the Lancers they're going to try and draw Bellarmine off sides or go for it here.
Well, it's a 3rd and 1 situation, so easily a situation where they can get that tough yard right here.
And it looks like they've got it. So St. Francis, which didn't have a single first down in their first series, converting well here as they are in the red zone.
And another tough 2 yards right there. And I mean, really, there's nothing wrong with Bellarmine's strategy right now. It's just the fact is that St. Francis is just a little bit tougher at that line of scrimmage. They're able to get those extra yards that they need, and it's extending this drive. This is exactly what you want if you're the Lancers, because Bellarmine's objective when they get the ball is to chew up the clock as well as yardage. So keeping them off the field keeps them from doing that.
1st and 10 from the 18. Bursting the right side, race toward the end zone. Waiting for a signal as you saw the push by McCauley, and they're going to say just shy. So it seemed as if the running back had the angle, Phillip, but that is certainly a touchdown saving tackle by the Bells.
And I'm wondering if he maybe slowed up at the end, but look at this hole he gets to go through. Some great vision there by the running back, and there you see right there, definitely a touchdown saving tackle, but Ahoya kind of looked like he didn't have that extra gear to get into to get to that edge and to really get that touchdown going. So a yard short, but hey, you love this situation if you're St. Francis.
1st and goal from the 1 for the Lancers. And up and over. Touch. We're still waiting for it.
I don't think they even know if he got through or not.
Not in. Not in. I'd like to see that play again.
Well, it certainly looked like from the initial push that he did get in. Let's see that. I think he might have. I think the ball may have broken that plane, but obviously the officials did not see it that way. So 2nd down and goal.
That was Dennis Green, and this time up and over the right side. We still don't have a signal, and Phil Beltran saying he did not get in.
Wow. 2 attempts from the 1 yard line. And no, the ball didn't break the plane that time. He did not extend it over. I think he just tried to do what the Olympic high jumpers would do, tried to go back first over the goal line, but obviously that was not to be the case.
The Fosbury flop, I believe,
right,
is what
exactly.
you're looking for.
I think you are correct on that one, but that's the only problem is that when you do that, you're not able to extend the ball over the plane of the goal line. As long as that breaks, they would have given it to him.
3rd and goal. Green's had 2 cracks of it at it. He gets it again. This time he doesn't jump up. He barrels through. Touchdown, St. Francis.
The old adage, 3rd time is the charm. I think that's exactly what happened with Dennis Green. I think he was just so disappointed from those first 2 chances. They decided to give him at least 1 more. And it pays off in spades, and the Lancers strike first with about a little over 2 minutes left in this first quarter. But a lot to like if you're St. Francis about that offensive drive.
The long snapper is Matt Schill. The holder is Andrew Young. This is Trill Bear, but whistles before the kick as Beltran throws a flag. Phil Beltran, the veteran referee, and that's going to be a false start on St. Francis backing them up, rounding out the officiating crew tonight. Mark Ray is the umpire. Darlene Gomez is the linesman. The line judge is Jill Slider. Ed Batista is the back judge. So you heard it, 2 women on this officiating crew. Number of more women officiating at the high school ranks, 2 of them tonight. As the extra point is good by A. Bear. 2:21 left to go in the first. St. Francis leads it 7-0. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Pacific Office Automation, for their support of this broadcast and for all season long. We at CreaTV Sports really appreciate Pacific Office Automation and their support of high school athletics in Santa Clara County. Thank you so much, Pacific Office Automation. I'm Kirsten Fairchild alongside Philip Kern. We're at Jaguar Stadium and the band is sounding great. The Bells Blue Crew is here. They've got some push-ups to do, but right now there's a 0 on the scoreboard for Bellarmine, trailing 7-0.
I actually enjoyed watching the Bellarmine student section toss some chalk powder up into the air and channeling the chant that was made so famous during the World Cup, the I Believe We Will Win chant. You saw them going at full throat on it here on the sideline. But I'll tell you what, St. Francis has really took the wind out of their sails. How about this? An 11-play, 51-yard drive. Yeah, you read that right. 11 plays. That kind of drive is exactly what the Lancers need in order to keep that Bells offense off the field. I'll tell you what, that's not going to allow them to really get a lot of momentum. And already you're seeing 2 3-and-outs by the Bells already. I mean, right now, early advantage St. Francis. Their defense has done a bang-up job.
Back deep is Kyle McCauley and Devin Buenrostro. Taken at the 3. Bells looking for a big return here. Room to run and out to the 30-yard line. And that gets the Bellarmine fans fired up here. As Bellarmine, as you said, it really kind of anemic on offense here in the early going.
Well, they have. I mean, obviously, the 2 3-and-outs is not what you want if you are head coach Mike Janda, but there is still plenty of time. I mean, there's a reason why these rivalry games have so much attention around them, because obviously the starts do not dictate what the finishes are going to be.
After the good return by Buenrostro. Quinn at quarterback. And it's McCauley. McCauley trying to cut around the end, and is that Bellarmine's biggest run thus far?
It has to be. That's probably the most momentum they've gotten on one single play, and you really have to credit Kyle McCauley. But look at this, double handoff. This is one of those aspects of this wing offense that Bellarmine likes to run. Anyone could get the ball at any particular time, and of course McCauley with the 8-yard gain, by far their longest rush of the evening.
Well, we saw him, that touchdown saving tackle. He certainly can motor, and we saw it there. So 2nd and 2 for Bellarmine, still looking for its first down. As you see the really tight formation, and then the handoff, and they've got it. The first down by Antonio Garcia as the Bellarmine Bells bring it out to the 42-yard line.
And really easy to get. And I think that's really the first easy first down that the Bells have gotten this entire night. And, of course, you're seeing Garcia again. He's getting into the mix early on, and you can see why the Bells want to do that. They like to get they like to do a running back by committee, but with the wing offense that they run, the running back by committee, heck, anybody could get the ball at any given time.
Buenrostro next to Quinn. Buenrostro on the sweep around the left side, trying to follow his blockers, but great lateral pursuit by St. Francis. Not too much there.
Maybe about a yard at most if I'm seeing the spot correctly. So really tough sledding early on, and you got to credit the Lancers' lateral pursuit. With Buenrostro right there trying to get to the edge. But there you see, there's Deneen. Even though he did not make the tackle, he led the charge on that one. So nicely done there, and maybe 2, maybe 3 yards at most.
Calamini, the leading blocker on that drive on that play for Bellarmine, and Calamini, the fullback. We mentioned he was our featured player. We still have to bring you some info on him, which we hope to do perhaps after this series, as the pass is caught. That was a dart thrown by Mardig, caught by Garcia. So Antonio Garcia not in the starting lineup tonight, but he has certainly contributed when he has come off the bench. So 3rd and about a foot for Bellarmine as they are in St. Francis territory for the first time tonight.
And look at the rollout play, and it's very, very tough sometimes to get that throw accurately, and that is the key right there. And of course, Garcia has really been making an impact on this drive. I think that's the 3rd time he's touched the ball on this one.
3rd and short, and I think that's going to be a false start on Bellarmine. St. Francis Lancers pointing their fingers, and Phil Beltran agrees. So the Bells are 2nd false start penalty. The other came on a punt. As 14 seconds remaining in the first quarter, St. Francis with the 7-0 lead.
It just seems like any time they try to get some sort of positive momentum, they always sort of sabotage themselves a little bit. That's already the 3rd penalty on the Bells in this quarter. And sometimes with a younger team, this is kind of what you have to deal with. It's a lot of growing pains. And by my count here on Bellarmine, there's only, I mean, it's a little bit more senior laden. There's 5 seniors starting on offense, but I mean, there's a lot of young guys that they're trying to work in.
The first quarter, St. Francis, a 7-0 lead over the Bells. Bellarmine, a must-win situation for the Bells to stay atop the standings. Second quarter when we return to Jaguar Stadium in San Jose, California.
CreaTV San Jose would like to thank Bellarmine College Preparatory for their generous sponsorship of our coverage of high school football. It's because of our sponsors that CreaTV Sports is able to cover high school football throughout the city of San Jose.
Second quarter up next, Kirsten Fairchilds alongside Philip Kern. Well, it was supposed to be a rebuilding year for Bellarmine, but the Bells sit atop the standings, and returning first team All-League selection Kurt Calamini is one reason why. We had a chance to focus on him during the warm-ups, and he is also, as you mentioned, all Mercury News honorable mention. And this Bellarmine team is so young, Philip. They need their veterans like Calamini to have a good game tonight.
And his impact, especially for his leadership, is going to be on the defense. It's a very, very young defense. Not too many seniors start on that side of the ball. So what Calamini can bring as far as his leadership is so invaluable to this Bell squad.
Bellarmine now left to right, trailing 7-0 as the second quarter gets underway. Quinn going into the air. And the receiver, Bellarmine, cannot believe that Josh Bringel was not held or interfered with. This is going to bring up 4th and long. Let's take another look at this crossing route across the middle.
The entire sideline seemed to erupt, but I had to tell you, I'm not sure if that really warranted a penalty. Sure, I mean, they were sort of tied up, but I believe it was within that 5-yard cushion, if you will. So, I mean, really at this point, I mean, I think Bellarmine's frustrations are just effervescing to the surface right now.
The punt by Quinn. He has punted well tonight, as Bear will let it bounce, and it goes out of bounds at the 24-yard line. So although there was some productivity by Bellarmine, once again, they have to punt the ball away. St. Francis 7-0. About 12 seconds into the second quarter, and Philip, boy, so much parity in the West Catholic Athletic League this year. This team is beating that team, but that team is beating this team. Here we are, 2 weeks left in the regular season, and I think so much focus in all of these West Catholic Athletic League games to see how the final standings are going to sort out.
It's really always fascinating when you get to the end of the season and you look back at all the preseason publications, and everyone said the same thing. It was either Sarah Valley Christian or Valley Christian Sarah, but here are the Bellarmine Bells, an underdog, a dark horse, title they rarely ever wear, but here they are doing what they usually do.
Ahoya with the carry. Not much there, and we've kind of teased it a little bit, but boy, Ludovico Ahoya, named by the Mercury News the Santa Clara County Boys Athlete of the Week this week. The 5'8", 185-pound junior running back last week against Sacred Heart Cathedral, 30 carries for a school record 333 yards. He had 3 TD runs, one for 5 yards, another for 13, another for 39. Really helped St. Francis beat Sacred Heart Cathedral 27-21. Not only did he break that rushing yardage as St. Francis going to the air. And Bear, what a catch over the defender. Talk about concentration. That is a highlight reel catch for sure. I just want to finish up with Ahoya. Not only did he break the total yardage rush record in a game, single game, he crushed it by over 70 yards.
Wow, I mean, that is more of a superhuman effort, if you will, on that one. But I got to tell you what, that catch by Trill Aber, 31-yard chunk play. This is the advantage you have, and it was a great throw by Akana as well, because, I mean, just a nice little windup, and got it where Aber could just win the jump ball battle. That's going to be a huge momentum builder for this Lancers offense.
On 1st and 10 from the 41, Ahoya, not much there. Bellarmine's done a fairly good job defending the run up the middle, wouldn't you agree?
They really have, and if I'm the Lancers, I kind of take into account what happened on the last play. As you could see right there, gets to the line of scrimmage and then, of course, gets hit by the Bellarmine defense again. But if I'm the Lancers, I kind of take note that, you know what, listen, they really couldn't defend the outside run all that much. And when they got Ahoya to the outside, he really did a lot of damage. So I'd put that in my back pocket if I were the Lancers right now.
Whistles blow before the play, and I believe we have a timeout on the field. The Lancers call a timeout, 9:55 remaining in the first half. St. Francis with a 7-0 lead. And a big thanks to our sponsor, Bellarmine College Preparatory. Thank you so much, Bellarmine College Preparatory. It is a pleasure and privilege to bring you high school sports in Santa Clara County. So pleased to be here for this pivotal West Catholic Athletic League game. Thank you so much to Bellarmine College Preparatory, a school with such great history, established in 1851. Big thanks to everyone at Bellarmine. Bellarmine College Preparatory, sponsor of CreaTV Sports. St. Francis last year, the Lancers went 9-4. Overall, they finished 4th in the West Catholic Athletic League under then first-year coach Greg Calcagna. They were the runner-up to Los Gatos in the CCS Division II title game, losing that game 31-14. Right now, they're 5-3 overall, 3-2 in league. They're tied for 4th with Archbishop Mitty.
And the nice thing is with the West Catholic Athletic League, because it's such a tough league, they could still actually make it back to the Division II playoffs and give themselves a chance to avenge that title game lost to Los Gatos. I'm sure they'd love to get to the Open Division, but a rematch with Los Gatos wouldn't be bad either.
Aquina goes to the air once again, overthrowing his receiver, Abear, who had broken free, really had a few steps on the corner. But Aquina just too much, and St. Francis certainly not expecting to have Kamali'i Aquina as their quarterback this year. In fact, Deneen was expected to compete with Barber for the quarterback position. Aquina, the son of Dwayne Aquina, the DB coach up at Stanford. He's coached at Arizona and at Texas, and left Texas, where his son was a standout quarterback, to take the job this spring at Stanford. And that meant the St. Francis Lancers picked up a great transfer. Flag comes in as Aquina puts the ball on his hip. Looks like the ball came loose, but we had a flag back in the backfield.
But that's definitely going to be a hole just in the area of the call, and there it is right there. So they'll back it up. But great presence there by Aquina to sense that the rush was coming behind him and actually tried to make something out of nothing. And, of course, the ball came loose after he was down by contact. However, if the flag comes back in, I think Aquina was a little bit slow to get up based on that replay we just saw. So hopefully he is okay. And I think they've actually had to go to a different quarterback, it looks like.
Well, Deneen certainly has been. Deneen has been the backup quarterback since he was a sophomore, and we're still waiting for whether Bellarmine will accept or deny a penalty. It looks like they will accept. So holding on St. Francis backs them up to Bascom Avenue. Is that a good indication?
Maybe more towards Winchester. That's my guess there.
Okay. So back into St. Francis territory. It'll be 3rd and 27.
I'm going to say 3rd and 26. How about that?
3rd and 26. Okay.
And the first penalty for St. Francis tonight, but that's a big one.
That's a huge one as they go to the run game. And a big-time tackle by the Bells. Very little gained on that running play.
Well, I don't care if that was a penalty-aided stop. If you can do that right there, and what a great tackle by Will Crummy, the junior inside linebacker. That's got to pump the Bellarmine sideline up. And you could tell a lot of the coaches were fist pumping. They were just so juiced by that stop because that's the first time they've actually second time they forced a 3 and out. But after that long touchdown drive by the Lancers, they got to be feeling pretty good now.
That was Isaiah Perez with the carry as the punt taken at the 15. And looks like dragged down, about an 8-yard return as Bellarmine Bells, Vince Fernandez with the return. Right. 8:33 left to go in the first half. Bellarmine's had a handful of first downs. It's been tough sledding, as my partner Philip Kern said earlier. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Bells from the 25. They really haven't been able to establish any kind of pass play, although Quinn has shown he has an arm. But Quinn on the keeper and pickup of 3. Hurtado in on the tackle. And Quinn is limping, limping off.
Yeah, it was just good to notice that Quinn did. I don't know what he did on this run to maybe come up limping. Maybe he got twisted underneath on the tackle, but
someone fell on him.
It might have, but I'll tell you what, this may force Troy Martig into some extended action. Let's see how he handles it.
With Calameni behind him, Martig rolling to his right, and it looked like he was feeling the pressure as he just underthrew McCauley, who was open.
I think there may have been an outside blitz called by the Lancers. Let's see how that one was set up. And I think that was Deneen who forced the incompletion. Yeah, he actually got a hand on Martig, but quite honestly, I mean, we haven't really called Deneen's name a whole lot, but he's done some little things here that have really helped the St. Francis Lancer defense, and now Griffin Quinn is actually coming back in.
Yeah, but he wasn't running so well as he jogged out. Looks like he's feeling something, little tender, perhaps an ankle. 3rd and 7. Bellarmine trying to get their offense going. It's been spurting, it's been sputtering. Need to shift it into gear. And the handoff coming around the right side.
Not too much there, and I think that's going to force another 3 and out. And just look at this. Even with trying to go to the outside, there's really not a whole lot there. I mean, St. Francis really focusing on sideline to sideline pursuit there, and really does pay off in spades. And right now, if you're the Lancers, you got to keep doing what's working right now. And one thing I want to point out too.
Let me just say, timeout on the field called by Bellarmine. Go ahead. After we thank our sponsor, Pacific Office Automation, as we see Quinn being taped up. Thank you so much, Pacific Office Automation. We really appreciate your support all season long here on CreaTV Sports. You've helped us bring us athletic broadcasts, both football and volleyball, from Santa Clara County, and we would not be able to do it without Pacific Office Automation. Thank you so very much. Philip, please finish your thought.
Well, one thing I was going to point out is I know we talked a lot about Steven Deneen, and rightfully so. He has been one of the standout performers of the West Catholic Athletic League. But one guy I wanted to point out may not have made an impact on the stat sheet already, but he has really set the tone for this defense, and that's nose guard Thomas Toki. The success of a 3-4 defense really depends on his nose guard. We'll talk more about that in a minute.
Quinn into punt. And takes a bit of a Bells bounce. And actually, that was not Quinn punting. My apologies. Cole Bunce, the kicker. You see the difference between Bunce and Quinn. So Quinn still being taped up right in front of the stands here. As St. Francis with the ball once again. So 1st and 10 for the Lancers from the 29. And St. Francis, which over the years has had some really good quarterbacks, strong arms. And here, one of their quarterbacks electing to transfer to Sarah and becoming eligible, I believe, once the league play began, or perhaps a week or two. And a big run for St. Francis as Ahoya shows you how tough he can be to bring down. And that's the first converted first down, and Ahoya getting it done straight up the middle. And
no real fluff right there. He just saw the hole and shot right through it. I'll tell you what, this is a good harbinger right now for the Lancers, especially if they could start getting those middle runs intact. Hey, this could set up some good stuff here.
Bellarmine able to keep Green in check. And maybe a yard on the carry.
A yard maybe, if that. So that turns it into a 2nd and long. Still very, very manageable because, as we've seen already, they do have the threat of the pass already with Akina at quarterback. He's already made some very good throws.
6:15 left to go in the first half. And Bergstrom once again, I mean, just racking up tackles tonight, this time on Ahoya.
And not much there, so only about 2 yards on that play. But we're seeing the same thing again. He only gets back to the line of scrimmage, and he gets met by the cavalcade of the Bellarmine defense. Jacob Bergstrom leading the charge with that tackle. But now this creates a 3rd and 7, which for the Lancers is not so bad just because they do have that threat of a passing game right now. So they are sort of an anomaly, if you will, with all the run-heavy teams in the Central Coast section.
That's right, and Abear lining up on the near side. Akina out of the shotgun. Looking to his right, going to the far sideline to the tall receiver. It's caught. So despite the double coverage, St. Francis goes to Deneen, the 6'5" senior. And it's another big play for St. Francis as Deneen gets some low fives from his teammates.
These chunk plays, it's another 31-yard pass on that one. This is the 2nd time they've gotten a big chunk play from their passing game, and I think if you're the Lancers, this is exactly what you're looking for out of this offense. I mean, stretch the field a little bit, try to create some running lanes here for Ahoya, and they've done very well with that.
1st and 10 from the 26. And a plunge for about 4 yards by Ahoya. Deneen, what a great story he is. Not only does he excel, Green with the carry, Green coming off the field, but not only is Deneen an exceptional football player, he's also an exceptional volleyball player, and many believe that he could play either sport at the D1 level, as we see Thomas Mcdevitt, the St. Francis tight end, holding his right ankle at the end of that play as Ahoya on the misdirection.
A good gain of yardage there, about 6, I believe. So that puts him right in the red zone.
4:15 left to go in the first half. St. Francis, 3rd and 3 for the Lancers, leading the Bells 7-0. And Bellarmine with the stop. That'll bring up 4th and short.
Now this creates an interesting situation here. About 4th and 1 on this one. So if you're St. Francis, I would actually say, because you've done so well on this drive so far, you go for it. You almost have to at this point. This is your chance to really create some separation between you and Bellarmine. Take advantage of it right here.
Green in the backfield. Ahoya dotting the I. Ahoya with a carry. I don't think he got it.
It's going to be very, very close. I think they're going to have to call a measurement on this one.
Crummy singling first down for Bellarmine.
And of course, Dennis Green, the fullback for St. Francis, is pointing the other way. And I don't think they got
Stopped. The Lancers turn it over on downs. 3:26 left to go in the first. Bellarmine looking to get its offense going. Mike Janda in his 31st year as the head coach. There's the bell. Love the Bellarmine bell. And the Bell Blue Crew. Great student section, unlike the Mohawk. On the bell. Mike Janda in his 31st year, 254 wins to 101 losses, 3 ties. He picked up win 250 earlier this season. He teaches chemistry and honors chemistry at Bellarmine. What an institution. He has truly been at such an institution. Hartig rolling out and then again underthrowing. We've seen him underthrow his receivers, Troy Martig.
And really sort of spotty play so far, but on this rollout, I think he was more running for his life than trying to look downfield. I mean, you look at this.
Deneen is chasing him.
Yeah, I mean, just hot pursuit right there by the St. Francis defense. And you can see why sometimes rotating quarterbacks isn't exactly the best thing, because I think Martig is still trying to get a feel for the offense, trying to operate it from the pocket. And on that rollout, he was almost running for his life instead of rolling out for the downfield throw.
Quinn is all taped up. He's grabbed his helmet, going to go check in with his coach as Martek out on the field, running the show for a consecutive play. On second down. And Bellarmine with success. St. Francis really seemed to be caught off guard as Antonio Garcia once again has a big run.
And that gives them the first down. And Garcia, again, he's been a spark plug for this Bellarmine offense. Anytime they've needed a big play, he's actually been the guy that they've gone to. So I think Garcia relishing that sort of role as being the spark plug off the bench.
3 receivers outright for Quinn, 2 up top. Quinn, and that partially deflected. Was that Deneen?
I believe that was. I mean, he stands out on that defense as being one of the taller guys on there. And I think he did bat that play at the line of scrimmage. Let's take a look right here. And, yep, that was Deneen right there. Who else could it be? Channeling his inner J.J. Watt, if you will, swatting that pass down at the line of scrimmage.
He's an opposite on the volleyball team, named first team All-WCAL in the spring. In fact, he competes for the Mountain View Volleyball Club that competed in Houston, Texas, and other places this summer. His head coach compares him to St. Francis alum Rhett Ellison, who's a backup tight end for the Minnesota Vikings and played at USC. And nearly picked off is once again Bellarmine's pass is batted down.
2 plays on dropbacks and 2 bat downs by that man. I think Stephen Deneen, again, he got his hand on it. And Bellarmine throwing some exotic looks out there. I never thought I'd see that at this point. I mean, when was the last time you saw them put out a 3 wide receiver look and going from shotgun, no less? And, of course, there was Deneen again. And some great pass rushing instincts. If you can't get to the quarterback, at least stick your hand up and try to bat the ball down, and he's done it twice.
That was Martig this time. 3rd down, same formation by the Bells. This time it's Quinn, and Deneen with just a direct path, but the screen pass caught by Garcia brings it out across 32. Deneen must think he's at volleyball practice.
He's probably in shock of all the
Look at that.
he's receiving. Oh, yeah, absolutely. He just had a clear path to the quarterback.
Now Quinn will punt. Remember, we saw the kicker, Bear, last time because Quinn was being taped up, but Quinn to punt. And it's a good one. Mishandled. Or, well, misjudged, perhaps, as a decision made by St. Francis. So Quinn really bailing out the Bells with such a tremendous punt. 1:58 left to go in the first half. St. Francis ball.
I think Bear kind of made the Lancers fans' hearts skip a beat or two as he sort of misjudged that, I think. And we're actually sitting right next door to the St. Francis coach, and one of the St. Francis coaching staff, and as soon as he backed away, he just kind of breathed a sigh of relief. It's like he was out there on the field with him. But Bear, if you could probably forgive him for that because he's made a couple of big plays so far for this Lancers offense.
1st and 10 for St. Francis from the 18. The handoff, and it's Crummy with the tackle on Green. 7-0 St. Francis leads. The Lancers have had a up and down season as far as wins and losses are concerned, but the Lancers have been playing very well as of late.
It's really been a clean game. There's really been no turnovers of any kind, and really only 4 penalties in total in the first half. But the Lancers really executing well on defense. That's really where they've been earning their stripes today.
On 2nd and 7. And Bellarmine, penetration into the backfield, dropping Ahoya. This first half so fast, too, so quickly played. Phillip, not a lot of stoppages. Both teams with 2 timeouts remaining as we're nearing the minute mark.
And St. Francis really does have a bit more of an edge right now because they will actually receive the second half kickoff. So let's just keep that in mind.
We've got a rugby warm-up going on the Bellarmine sideline behind the track. Are we going to have a demonstration at halftime? 40 seconds remaining. Bellarmine on 3rd and 9 as the pile pushing forward. Calamini on the tackle of Ahoya. So Ahoya, junior running back, who's present and future, looking bright for the Lancers. And timeout on the field, 32 seconds remaining. It'll be 4th and 5 after the timeout. Thanks so much to Bellarmine College Preparatory for their sponsorship of this broadcast. Thank you so much. What a long, strong history Bellarmine College Preparatory has had, established in 1851. And a big thanks to them and all the coaches for Bellarmine, as well as the athletic department and the parents. Great senior night ceremony beforehand. Bellarmine with 6 CCS titles. When you compare that to St. Francis, established in 1955, the Lancers with 15 CCS football titles.
Well, Bellarmine definitely has a little bit of ground to make up, but I mean, St. Francis for a long time was really the power of the West Catholic that many wondered if they would be toppled for quite some time. And of course, St. Francis and Bellarmine, both these schools have very, very notable alumni in baseball as well. I mean, if you remember back a few years ago, Pat Burrell starred for the Bellarmine Bells for quite a few years. And if the name Daniel Descalso sounds familiar, it should. He was a 2-sport star here at St. Francis for quite a few years of his own accord and has a World Series ring with the St. Louis Cardinals as well.
32 seconds remaining. Bear into punt. And whistles blown.
Of course, we were just talking about how few penalties we had here in this first half. Of course, I think the broadcaster jinx applies to referee whistles as well.
False start again on St. Francis on a punt.
And that's what I'm noticing, too. A lot of special teams penalties. Very rare that you see that, but majority of them, that's where they have been going. And now this puts St. Francis having to punt back from their original line of scrimmage back at their own 18.
And a referee, Phil Beltran, wants time put back on the clock. They had started the clock, so this could potentially be huge here in that Bellarmine, timeout remaining. The Bells, of course, call that timeout before the punt to try and stop the clock. Pressure coming. Hebert gets it away. McCauley takes it at midfield and is just drilled at the 47. The good news there, that stops the clock as Green introduces himself to McCauley. 25 seconds remaining. The Bells with one timeout, trailing 7-0 here in the first half.
However, for Bellarmine, this is actually sort of a blessing in a bit too, because they're already in St. Francis territory, so they can travel 47 yards in 25 seconds. However, that's a little bit of a dicey proposition considering how shaky their passing game has been so far. And really not a lot has worked for the Bells offense so far. I mean, the St. Francis Lancers, especially their pass rush and their linebacking core, they've done some great work. That front seven has really controlled the line of scrimmage, and it's made a big difference for the Lancers.
Quinn out of the shotgun. 3 receivers up top. Calamini next to him. Bubble screen to McCauley. McCauley tackled. It'll bring up 2nd and 6. 16 seconds left, and Bellarmine burns a timeout. Now, Hebert has a range of 45 yards for field goal, but now that they've burned their timeout, as Bellarmine huddles up.
Something I was wanting to touch on a little bit as far as the St. Francis defense, and now that they're on the field, we have a chance to. What makes the 3-4 unique, and this is something that St. Francis is known for running, is that a lot of it depends on their nose guard. And of course, St. Francis has one of the best in the business with Thomas Toki. He is a Division I prospect. He even made the ESPN 300 top prospects list at his position. The fact that he's going to Washington State on this next year, the nose guard plays such a big role on that 3-4 defense, because if he's good enough where the offensive line has to scheme for 2 guys to block him, that frees up so many things. You can create one-on-one matchups on the end. You can create one-on-one matchups with your outside linebackers. And a lot of times you set them up for success in order for them to win those physical battles. So the nose guard, even though they may not make a big impact on the stat sheet, they are so vital to the success of a 3-4 defense. And you go back to a lot of the great 3-4 defenses in history, a lot of them will tie to the fact of how good their nose guard was.
2nd and 5 for the Bells. 16 seconds remaining in the first half. Quinn stays in at quarterback. Near sideline. In traffic and nearly picked off the deflection. Stops the clock with 9 seconds as we see Bellarmine able to air it out under the arm of Quinn. Joseph McEntee, the intended receiver.
I like the idea of what Bellarmine's trying to do with the stretch, though, but I think they have to be thankful that Armani Price was not quite able to pick up that interception, and he nearly got that while he was on the ground.
He caught it with his legs.
Exactly. That could have been the interception of the year on that play, and, of course, some great camera work there by our CreaTV crew as well. But Armani Price making some big plays in this first half.
He certainly has, as 9 seconds remaining, 3rd and 5 for the Bells. Twin receiving set.
Looks like 4 wide on this formation.
Quinn dropping back, has time, and it's caught. McCauley goes down. 4 seconds remaining. Bellarmine out of timeouts. 4 seconds remaining. As Quinn looking at the clock, looking at his sideline, trying to get his team set. He's going to have to just spike it. As the whistle blows to start the clock, he does just that. So Bellarmine stops the clock with 2 seconds, but now a penalty marker in. Was there movement?
Well, if there was movement, that's really going to be a tough penalty. But what a play there, and great presence of mind by McCauley to really reel that in. And I think he knew he was going to get hit. He just had to hold on to that ball for dear life. And a great catch there. And finally, some signs of life from this Bellarmine passing game.
The penalty going against the Bells, as Martig now out on the field. And if the Bells, remember, Martig is the holder, so that brings out the Bellarmine kicker, Cole Bunce.
Should be about a 42-yard attempt right here, so maybe at the edge of his range a little bit.
Put it more at 35. It's good. It is good. How clutch by Bunce. Bellarmine, as time inspires. We're right next to the, we're actually in between both groups of coaches, and the Bellarmine fans really excited, the Bellarmine coaching staff, and the bell. Finally, the bell, something to celebrate, as the Bellarmines, despite the penalty, field goal to make it a 7-3 ball game. Philip, your impressions of the first half?
Well, I think we expected a few more points, but I'll tell you what, both these defenses really came to play. And you really got to give a lot of credit to the Lancers. This wing option offense that Bellarmine runs, as we see the field goal again by Cole Bunce, and just absolutely clutch. And maybe had a couple more yards to spare on that last kick. But the Lancers defense has really, aside from that last drive by the Bells, really sucked the wind out of their sails, not just on the sideline, but also here in the stands as well. I mean, Bellarmine definitely has a stronger contingent, no question. But St. Francis' defense has been suffocating, whether it's been the pass rush by Stephen Deneen, or the great play up front by their defensive line, or Armani Prince making some key plays in the secondary. Every level of this Lancer defense is contributing. And if right now, if you're St. Francis, you have to feel very good about it, because it's not just one guy making plays. Every level of the defense is doing it.
We're going to take a short break and return with the CreaTV Sports Halftime Show. St. Francis of Mountain View leading Bellarmine of San Jose by a score of 7-3 in West Catholic Athletic League football action.
CreaTV San Jose would like to thank Pacific Office Automation for their generous sponsorship of our coverage of high school sports. It's because of our sponsors that CreaTV San Jose is able to cover high school sports throughout the city of San Jose.
Back in San Jose for the CreaTV Sports Halftime Show. Highlights from the first half. Kyle McCauley sweep along the right side, and it's Price up and over for the big tackle.
And McCauley making some nice plays for Bellarmine, but the big plays for them have been few and far between. But this was the third time the charm run from 3rd and goal after a 1st and 2nd down run, but Dennis Green getting the job done there.
That's right. Here's McCauley again, this time on the right side. And once again, Price slowing his progress.
And Price really stood out for that Lancer defense there in the first half. But this is one of my favorite plays right here. Bear over Buenrostro with the big play. One of two that he made for this Lancer offense.
Aquina showing he's got an arm. And he's got the big target in Deneen.
Well, Deneen really didn't have to jump. I mean, he just has such a great height advantage over that coverage that he really didn't need to do a whole lot. But Aquina showing some great arm strength. I like what I'm seeing from him.
And Deneen batting. Just really that 6'5" frame, that wingspan, showing he's just a D1 prospect all the way around.
Oh, he's a good athlete. I mean, you could see his volleyball instincts coming in. Of course, there is Price again, nearly with the interception of the year, and a throw kind of into triple coverage, so Bellarmine had to chance that a little bit. And there you're seeing Griffin Quinn again. This was the play to set up one of the last scoring plays of the first half, and this was huge, and especially Cole Bunce.
Yeah, 45-yard field goal as time expires. So Bellarmine, really, Philip, they've not had a lot of success or consistent success on offense, but boy, the sight of the bleachers with the baby powder, the blue crew, the Bells blue crew, it's really just been a fun environment for a high school football game.
Oh, it really has, but the Bellarmine student section hasn't had a whole lot to cheer about. It's like we mentioned before leading into halftime, the St. Francis defense has just been suffocating. And when you can suck the life out of both the sideline and the fans all in one foul swoop, you're doing something right. This Lancer defense is on point right now.
To learn more about CreaTV Sports, please visit our website, www.creatvsj.org. You can meet the staff, check out our schedule, learn more about what we do at CreaTV San Jose. Also, if you're own or operate a business and interested in potentially coming on as a sponsor for our sports at the start of the year, I'd love to bring you some basketball in 2015. It's been a fun season of football and volleyball this year on CreaTV Sports. I'm Kirsten Fairchild alongside Philip Kern. Philip, St. Francis, we mentioned, really has been playing well as of late.
But they really have, and I think they've carried a lot of that positive momentum into this game. And anytime you've got a rivalry as deep as this one, you really need to pull out all the stops. And with the playoffs just a couple of weeks away, there's a lot of fine-tuning that still needs to go on. And I think right now for Coach Calcagno, he really needs to make sure that all gears are oiled up, essentially, because right now with the way this defense is playing, he's got a lot to look forward to. I mean, and he should expect this because it's a very senior-laden defense. They should know their assignments. They should understand what's going on. And right now, just one key for each side, okay? Second half, if you're St. Francis, tell that front seven to keep dominating. That's exactly what they have to do. They force Bellarmine to the outside when they want to cut inside. It's kind of telling them, forcing them to zig when they want to zag in a way. And they've really sort of dictated the tempo of everything. So the front seven needs to play well. Of course, when you got Armani Price in the back making as many plays as he is, that's an added bonus right there. For Bellarmine, I'd actually want to see them get Antonio Garcia involved in the offense a little more. Anytime he's had the ball in his hands, he's made a big impact. So I'd like to see them incorporate him into the game plan a little bit. Get him to the outside. Get him the ball in space a little bit. He's got the quicks out there. So you want to utilize that a little bit. Force the Lancers to, especially that front seven, to really play back on their heels a little bit. And I think Garcia can be that X factor in the second half. I just think they need to get him the ball more.
Bellarmine atop the standings with plenty of company. In fact, with the exception of Sacred Heart Cathedral, which is 0-5, everything is a tie. And the Bellarmine Bells will kick it off. St. Francis leading 7-3. The Lancers would get the ball first in the second half. As the ball taken at the 2, and the return man spun down at the 17. St. Francis, the Lancers, again, playing well as of late, as Isaiah Perez, the junior, with a return.
Not exactly what type of field position the Lancers were wanting. Of course, Perez is trying to make something out of nothing on that one, but deep into their own territory, it hasn't really bothered St. Francis a whole lot. They've shown that they've been able to get the big play through the air when they need it, and I'd expect Trill Hebert to really play a bigger role here in the second half, because I don't think Bellarmine really has an answer for him on the outside.
First play from scrimmage, a run by Ahoya, and Ahoya pickup of 3, as Macaulay saying he took the ball out of Ahoya's hands.
Well, not too sure if he did that or not. I think Ahoya was down by contact, but again, Ahoya is really just starting to grind down this Bell's defense, and I think if you're the Lancers, that's exactly what you wanted. And of course, he gets down to around the 22-yard line, so it creates a second and manageable at this point. But Ahoya has really shown some life here, and I think he's really given the Lancers offense some nice balance. And I think that's what they needed in order to set up those big plays through the air.
2nd and 7 for the Lancers. Second half actions. The team from Mountain View leading 7-3, as you see Hurtado. Looks like he's tiptoeing through the tulips there.
And
a lot of Bells grabbing at his ankles, but no one wrapping him up.
No, he really hasn't. And he's been the one Lancer running back who they still need to try to get going. He's a big body, and it really takes a couple of defenders to bring him down. As you can see right there, it took about 3 to 4 Bell's defenders, and even at that point, he fell forward. So really, they've got something going on here with this rushing attack, but I think they would love to get Hurtado a little bit more involved.
3rd and 3 for the Lancers. The Bells fans looking for a stop. Inside handoff. We'll have to wait for the spot and see where forward progress is marked. I think Bellarmine potentially expecting a pass play, but instead Hurtado with the carry, and that's short of a first down.
Yeah, I think they did stop him even with the forward progress he tried to make, there really wasn't a whole lot of give there. So most definitely a stop, maybe 1 yard if that.
Hebert to punt. 2 back for Bellarmine here on the punt return. Taken at the 36. And the Lancers, good kick coverage, good punt coverage. As very little there for Vincent Fernandez.
Well, now this is the time for the Bells offense to respond, and I know we talked about this a little bit, as you see Fernandez really dragged down, and great special teams discipline there by the Lancers to really stay with their assignments. But I want to see if Antonio Garcia gets a bigger role, because you notice when the Bells were really making some things happen on offense, he was the key behind it.
Lancers come out hitting hard, as popping up for the Bells is Antonio Garcia. Again, not listed among the starters, but on the 2 deep for sure. As Troy Martig out to play quarterback for this play.
Of course, right on cue, Garcia does get the carry, but Justin Dunn single-handedly bringing him down. I think the Bells fans getting a little antsy. They want to see some action here on the offense.
Play action on 2nd and 9, caught for a first down, and the Bellarmine Bells fans with a healthy round of applause as they go to the air. Martic to bring gel, and ball marked right at midfield.
And of course, to bring them right at midfield, I think that's one of the bigger plays that Bellarmine has had outside of that pass to McCauley towards the end of the first half. So maybe a little bit of positive momentum right now for the Bells. They need all they can get right now because they haven't had much going for them.
Garcia following his blockers, and a healthy run for Garcia, pickup of 7. A lot of pivotal games, really important games going on. In fact, perhaps one of the big ones up at Burlingame, Sacred Heart Prep, leading Burlingame by a score of 21-7. That is for the Lake Division Peninsula Athletic League title.
You see Garcia again going up the middle, really creating a lot of space there. And a runner of his size, he needs to learn to follow his blockers. He's done exactly that, so he's really done a nice job with it.
2nd and 4. And St. Francis, the defense beginning to give a little more with these runs up the middle. Garcia pounding away as well.
Yeah, it was only a couple of yards, but really sort of shifted back and forth. There you see him doing a little bit of shake there, a little bit of a bake there. Maybe put a little Crisco on that jersey to get the Lancers defense to miss a bit. But all that worked for a couple of yards, but you're the Lancers. I mean, this is a big 3rd down stop right here.
3rd and 2 for the Bells. Just over 7 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. Bellarmine trailing 7-3. And quarterback keeper for the first down is Quinn, showing his ankle well enough to get his motor going.
I think it's probably one of the easiest 4-yard gains he's had this entire evening. Actually, it's more of a 3-yard gain, I beg your pardon. But still, nevertheless, it does create a first down and a new set for the Bells right here, and definitely their best drive of the game.
Quinn reminding me a little bit of KJ Carter Samuels on that play, as Martig in to replace him at quarterback. 1st and 10 from the 39. And Garcia running strong on the left side. The ball comes loose. Looks like Bellarmine recovers. We have not had any turnovers. Calameni falling on it. So Bellarmine recovering the fumble.
And sort of a saving grace right there as Garcia trying to run tough a little bit, and then of course getting the ball punched out, although it was a very, very close call. I thought he was actually down. I thought he was down by contact.
Absolutely. 2nd and 9 for the Bells, nearing the 6-minute mark at the St. Francis 38. Quinn. And the handoff to McCauley. McCauley off the left side. So Bellarmine having success with the run here on this opening drive of the second half.
And I think this is exactly what they wanted, even though some of the games really weren't exactly what they were wanting per se. Now I think they've sort of gotten their tempo at right where they want it now. So quite honestly, I mean, they're getting the momentum going now, but all that's not going to mean anything if they don't reach the end zone.
On 3rd and 4, looks like St. Francis maybe flinched, but no call. Garcia pushing his blockers forward. And Bellarmine with some pep in their step here in the second half. First down for the Bells.
And like I said, Garcia has been the spark plug. And he shows it right there again. I mean, such a runner a little bit more slight in nature, but he's able to get it done.
Five minutes left to play in the third. Bellarmine still looking to get in the end zone for the first time tonight. Quinn. Handoff to Garcia. Garcia cutting back inside. And this is what has been different for the Bells. The blockers able to open up a running lane for Antonio Garcia.
And he's finally getting some good blocking right here. There you see it. Calamani right there. We haven't really talked about him a whole lot as far as the stat sheet, but that's a key block right there in order to have Garcia go through the line of scrimmage in a gain of 6. This is exactly what you want.
Just over 4 minutes left to play. Bellarmine chewing up clock on this drive on 2nd and 4. Quarterback keeper trying to turn the corner. Martig, did he step out of bounds? One official signals touchdown. St. Francis, I believe, saying he stepped out of bounds. Bellarmine celebrating. Touchdown Bells.
It looks like it is a touchdown, and some great footwork by Troy Martig on the quarterback keeper. And the Lancers' aggressiveness sort of biting them in the backside a bit, and they bit on the play fake. And look at this forward. Boom, boom, boom. And he just kind of dotted the sideline a bit and walking that tightrope towards the end. But Martig with the fist pump, the celebration, and of course, more importantly, a Bellarmine lead.
Extra point by Bunce is good. Bellarmine in the lead for the first time tonight. 4:03 left to play in the third. The Bells lead the Lancers 10-7 as push-ups are the moment here at Bellarmine. A big thanks to Pacific Office Automation for its generous support of this broadcast. Thank you so much, Pacific Office Automation, for your support of athletics on CreaTV San Jose.
Well, that drive sort of symbolized what I thought they needed to do for the second half. I was saying that in the halftime show and leading into the second half, Bellarmine needed to feed Antonio Garcia a little more, and guess what? Every time they've had a drive that's ended in points, he's had a big role in it. So look for them to get Antonio Garcia involved a little bit more. He was starting to get some good momentum. He was starting to feel his way through the holes a bit and really wore down this Lancer defense. So now I think you'll see Garcia get that expanded role. Even with the QB keeper touchdown by Martig, I mean, Garcia had a lot of key runs to keep the chains moving.
Bellarmine finally into the end zone. Took them nearly 32 minutes of this game. Now the Bells playing with a 10-7 lead. Bunce kicks it away. taken at the 1. Heading back inside, and the return across the 22 as it's Perez. Wanted to just bring up one score, Philip. There's so many undefeated teams so late in the season, and one of those is, well, actually 2 of them are Branham and Mount Pleasant, who are playing tonight. Third quarter, Branham leading Mount Pleasant 21-0. Both of those teams just one win 2 seasons ago. Here they are, both undefeated. This for the league championship. Branham 21, Mount Pleasant 0. Under 4 minutes to go. St. Francis looking for a little success as they had in the first half, but it seems to be a different story here in the second.
Oh, they're trying to get the ball in the hands of A. Bear on the end around right there, and they're really trying to get all their playmakers involved, and I like the idea just to give them some different looks, because A. Bear just trying to get to the outside, maybe got 1-2 yards at most. But you really want to get the ball into his hands because he has shown the ability to make some special things happen, but I think we're going to get a penalty here.
Yeah, penalty goes against St. Francis. William Bowes in on that tackle for the Bells. So at this point, thus far, it's been a tale of 2 halves. The first half, I guess you could give to St. Francis, but right now it really seems as if Bellarmine has the energy, the enthusiasm, the execution, and the lead.
That's what a long time killing clock will, or a clock killing drive will do for you. And right now we're already at a little over 3.5 minutes in this third quarter, and it's because Bellarmine's offense did what it was designed to do. Keep the Lancers offense off the field. They ate up a lot of time. This is Bellarmine football at its very core.
1st and 20 for the Lancers. And just out of the outstretched hands of Stephen Deneen. He really is a great big target. He's got some speed for a big man.
He does, but I think on that one he kind of slowed up a little bit. Let's watch this throw again by Akine. Puts a nice touch on it, but I think Deneen, in tracking the ball, may have slowed up a little bit towards the end. I think that's what cost him a chance to really reel in that ball, because he had that defender beat. He really did. And I think Akina sort of threw him open, but he couldn't quite get under it at the end.
Calcagno, the head coach in his second year, quarterback at St. Francis, then went on to play for Pat and Terry Malley at Santa Clara University, the quarterback there for the Broncos.
Terry Malley, a name that sounds a state and arena football fans should be familiar with as well.
Absolutely, and Pat Malley, a legend, and we saw kind of the confusion, the doubt showed by Akina and his body language, and St. Francis calls a timeout. So the first timeout of the second half burned by St. Francis. 3:20 left to go in the third quarter. The Bells lead it 10-7, and a big thanks to Bellarmine College Preparatory for its sponsorship of this broadcast. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here for West Catholic Athletic League football. This rivalry game between St. Francis and Bellarmine, brought to you in support by Bellarmine College Preparatory. And I just have to mention the news today about Bellarmine hiring Brandy Chastain as an assistant on their boys soccer team. Of course, Brandy Chastain, such a familiar name to Bay Area fans and soccer fans worldwide, and Bellarmine making the news today by hiring Brandy Chastain as an assistant for their boys soccer program.
Well, I'll tell you what, anytime you can get a prestigious name in Bay Area soccer like Brandy Chastain, I don't really care if you're coaching soccer at a co-ed high school or all-girls high school or even at an all-boys high school. She's going to have a lot of expertise and a lot of insight to give to an already powerhouse program.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, St. Francis on 2nd and 20 out of the timeout. And on the out pattern, that ball is caught. So St. Francis, instead of going for the home run ball, comes back with an out pass and trying to make up this yardage. And that pass caught by Andrew Young, the 5'10" senior wideout. Young has had some success as a Lancer over these years, but his first catch tonight.
That was his first catch. And look at Akina just step into the throw. I actually think he's got some potential to really develop into a solid passer.
Absolutely. On 3rd and 8. Akina, nimble footwork, hits the open man. First down yardage more for St. Francis. Takes a big hit at the end of the play, but the Lancers are fired up.
As they should be. I mean, what great pocket presence.
And that was Joe Mihanovic with his first catch. So Hebert was the popular target in the first half, but now Akina spreading the wealth. And again, Akina, his father actually, we mentioned the DB coach at Stanford, but he was a native of Hawaii, his father, and he was a quarterback at UW. So his son in some ways following in his footsteps here, and looks like St. Francis heading over. So will the Lancers have to call another timeout? The Lancers called their second timeout here in the third quarter. 2:12 left to play. St. Francis trailing 10-7, but appeared to be on the move thanks to the passing game.
Well, and we're kind of getting into the minutia of the game at this point, but I had to tell you, what you already used 2 timeouts in the third quarter. Keep an eye on that, because that could really play a role in how this clock gets managed, especially in the fourth quarter. And now, because this game is so tight right now, I almost have to wonder, can you afford to give that second timeout already? I mean, they're already down to about 1 left. And it really does make you wonder.
It does. I just want to talk a little bit more about Kamali'i Akina. He received the Outstanding Quarterback Award at Texas Showcase Combine, and he's actually been invited to the U.S. Army All-American Bowl Combine. Talked about his father, Dwayne Akina, who's the DB coach at Stanford, most recently at Texas. He also coached at University of Arizona. So as we see Akina here out of the shotgun, out of the timeout, it's first down for the Lancers. And the Lancers, a clear path, and then stumbling right in front of his own sideline is Isaiah Perez. Perez might have had a clear path to the end zone.
Oh, man. If it wasn't for that slip, who knows how much longer this is. But this option look, this is something that I think Bellarmine getting a little taste of their own medicine here. And right there, the turf just ate him up.
The turf gremlins.
Yes, exactly. But a 23-yard scamper. Hey, you'll take those, and St. Francis is rolling.
We saw Bellarmine score on that last drive, really pounding the ball and first down. St. Francis' success tonight has been set up by the bigger play, as you mentioned, the chunk play. Minute 45 remaining in the third. The Lancers from the Bellarmine 36.
There was a Hoya with another carry. He's been the bell cow for this offense. That's a 6-yard gain, so still some continued success here for the Lancers, and Ahoya has actually played a big role in that. But you said it. I mean, I've kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's been the chunk plays that have really kept the Lancers in this one. There you see it again. It's becoming a factor.
And 2nd and 5. And Bellarmine trying to wrestle the ball away from Ahoya. Again, there's that big number 77, William Bowes. Must be just a battle in the trenches tonight, Philip.
And you have to expect it to be at this point. And there you see Bellarmine really getting some nice penetration. They really could not, St. Francis really couldn't force that defense to go backwards at all. And it really has, at times, made it difficult for Ahoya to really get some traction. What I'm really fascinated by is the fact that, hey, they could probably use some more outside runs. They haven't gone to the outside very much.
That's exactly true, as it's 3rd and 4. Deep in the corner. Hebert. St. Francis celebrating touchdown. Phil Beltran signals touchdown. St. Francis, we have seen the highlight catches from Hebert tonight. This is the second, and it's good for a TD.
I think the officials are conferring at the corner, and I don't think they're going to give the touchdown to Hebert. Looks like they're going to mark him just a little bit short. We'll wait for the final ruling, but that does not take away from the effort that Hebert made on that play. That was just incredible body control. keeping your body in bounds and to beat the corner towards the pylon. Wow.
Usually when the referee signals touchdown, it's a certain, and they're going to say first down instead. So 1st and goal for St. Francis. Lancers band was playing its heart out.
And actually, if you're St. Francis, you're actually okay with this. Because even if it is a 1st and goal.
If you're Bellarmine, you're really okay with it.
Well, if you're a Bellarmine, you're okay with it, of course. But if you're St. Francis, you don't really have to run a play right now. There's a little under 20 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Maybe you let time run down. Maybe think over the play a little bit. I mean, I think maybe Hebert was called out of bounds when he came down with the catch. I mean, obviously got possession and did everything else correct. But really, no pressure. No pressure now. I mean, obviously this is a possession to take the lead, but you got some options here.
1st and goal from the 1. We saw Bellarmine come up with a few stops, but none there, as once again it's Green from 1 yard out. Touchdown, St. Francis.
Fantasy football players will know this term well. Dennis Green vultured a touchdown for the St. Francis Lancers, and really no resistance right there. Green just found the hole and went right through, but none of that was possible without the highlight reel catch by Trill Hebert. That was some sick body control there.
His full name is Trillion. He likes to be called Trill, as bunts on for the point after. St. Francis back out on top. And a converted extra point here. It's good. The Lancers lead 14-10 with 10 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Well, his full name may be Trillion, but that was at least $1 million catch right there. Right there to set that up, that 1st and goal. But they were seeing it again. The Lancers living off the big play. Sometimes that could be a little bit dicey if the big play isn't there in the first place. But I'll tell you what, when the big play is working, hey, the Lancers are sitting pretty right now because the big plays have been working brilliantly right now.
We've got a good one, a rivalry game everyone was talking about. It's been such a parity year for teams in the West Catholic Athletic League. Parity, the name of the game, as this one now going back and forth here in the 2nd half. The Lancers will kick it off, 10 seconds remaining in the 3rd, up 14-10.
Of course, the fans still into it as we see the Bellarmine faithful with some, I don't know if you call them life-size head cardboard cutouts or what you would call them. Maybe they're custom fat heads. I'm not too sure. But no, they're still into it. And Bellarmine still has plenty of time. Folks, I'm just telling you this much. This game is not over, but this rivalry game has lived up to the billing and then some.
After a slow start by Bellarmine in particular, we've got a good one. And a kick goes out of bounds. Of course, the penalty markers thrown.
There's the
Hebert kicking that off.
The dreaded illegal procedure penalty for the kick going out of bounds. This is going to give Bellarmine some nice field position.
Actually, at a game earliest this year, I saw the team take the option of the re-kick. You don't see that too often. As the Bells will go to work 1st and 10 from the 35. No time coming off the clock.
And like you said, it's very rare that teams will choose the re-kick because coaches at this point would just rather take the field position that they know they've got.
Yeah. Sacred Heart Prep now leading Burlingame 28-14. Again, that's for the Peninsula Athletic League Lake Division title. This should be the final play of the 3rd quarter. A run play by Bellarmine, and the Bells trailing 14-10. They trailed at the half 7-3, now 14-10. But this is a much different Bellarmine team than we saw in the first half.
It looks like Garcia has really injected some life into this offense. So this is exactly what I said they needed to do in order to get themselves back into this game, because the Lancers defense really imposed their will in the first half. And then, of course, now with that long clock-killing drive by Bellarmine, it's really put them back into it. But, of course, St. Francis really took momentum back from them.
A win by St. Francis would knock Bellarmine out of the top spot. The Lancers have been on a tear as late, but never count out the Bellarmine Bells. The fourth quarter when we return to CreaTV Sports.
CreaTV San Jose would like to thank Bellarmine College Preparatory for their generous sponsorship of our coverage of high school football. It's because of our sponsors that CreaTV Sports is able to cover high school football throughout the city of San Jose.
Bellarmine ranked number 3 by the San Jose Mercury News this week. San Jose number 8, but it's number 8 leading number 3 by a score of 14-10. I'm Kirsten Fairchilds alongside Philip Kern. Thank you so much for watching CreaTV Sports tonight and all season long. It is our pleasure and privilege to bring you high school sports in Santa Clara County. We hope you've been enjoying this broadcast. If you are, let us know. Visit our website and let us know how much you appreciate high school sports shown on CreaTV. Bellarmine left to right on 2nd and 7 as McCauley, the sweep around the left side, and McCauley for a first down. One of the few times he's gotten by Price, this time running to the opposite side of the field from where Price was defending.
Well, and I think they've gotten wise to where Armani Price is on the field. And of course, as many plays as he made, you'd be foolish to kind of run in his direction. And of course, there is McCauley with some great vision to the outside, gains about 8 yards, and a first down play.
From the Bellarmine 46, Garcia cutting back inside. 6-yard gain. So just as they did on the previous drive, Bellarmine able to chip away.
They really are, and really it kind of all ties back to Garcia again. And he is really, and I think Mike Janda has realized that he's making some things happen out there. And I think it's so important to recognize, especially when you go by a running back by committee approach, to really figure out who's got the hot hand, who's making the big plays right now. Bellarmine doesn't really have a bell cow running back in sort of the mold of a Yuswa Amana that they had a few years ago. So with the running back by committee, you got to go with the hot hand. And right now, that's Garcia.
Problem on the exchange, and whistles are blown. I think they're going to say false start before the ball was snapped. Troy Martig in at quarterback, and that's exactly the penalty. And everyone moved except the center. Everyone moved except the center snapping the ball.
Well, the Bellarmine offensive line is so in tune with everybody. If they commit a false start, they all commit a false start.
Just a couple of scores. Westmont up on Silver Creek 21-13. Westmont kind of the unsung, not getting a lot of attention for a terrific season. And Branham up 28-7 over Mount Pleasant in the fourth quarter.
And Branham's been such a great story after all the struggles they've had recently to really turn it around like they've had.
Yeah, I think a 13-game win streak, and I'll have one more West Catholic Athletic League score after this play. On 2nd and 9, Quinn dropping back. Here comes Deneen. Deneen once again just coming off that left end, really appears to have an unobstructed path to the quarterback. Valley Christian leading Midi 9-7. As
an old-fashioned West Coast or West Catholic Athletic League slugfest, if you will, on defense. Of course, Valley Christian known for a long time to have such a solid defense, and it's really coming into play again. I mean, Midi always a solid team, but they've been a very fascinating story to watch because of the return of longtime head coach Dave Brown. So they've attracted a lot of attention just because of that.
That's right. And Sarah up 21-10 on Sacred Heart Cathedral. Dakari Monroe, an 80-yard punt return for a touchdown. But here we are. He's just amazing. On 3rd and 9, Martig under pressure, rolls out to his right, puts it on his hip, picks up a block, and that helmet-to-helmet contact. And here comes the penalty.
A late flag, too. I'm not too sure as to why. I mean, wow. mean, I don't know if the penalty was on the hit.
We'll take a look at the play and see if we.
Well, there's Martig rolling out. And he takes the ball in. And, well, maybe lowering the shoulder a little bit too much. I'm not too sure. I mean, it was helmet contact. But it wasn't helmet to helmet. I think it was more shoulder to helmet. And I think it's just, yeah, they're going to get him for the personal foul.
So the Lancers will have 15 yards marked off against them. And the St. Francis coaching staff looks pretty hot over there. I think, it's one of those, as we've seen, kind of incidental or unintentional versus the safety,
right,
etc. You see this at so many levels of the game. And that really, I think, the first penalty on the St. Francis defense tonight.
That sounds about right. I will have to.
I think we had a holding, but that was on, well, whatever the case, 10:20 left to go, and we have, I believe, an official timeout here. As our referee checking in.
And you are correct. That is the first time the St. Francis defense has been penalized. So you are correct on that one. But it only goes to show you that it's not so much the penalties.
A sideline warning. Sorry, we're going to have the stoppage of time for a sideline warning.
I think the St. Francis coaching staff still a little hot under the collar from that penalty. And
Greg
really,
Calcagno taking the opportunity to state his case.
Oh, and I don't blame him. I mean, it was. I think the thing is just the timing of the flag.
Well, and we are right next, as we mentioned before, we're in between the coaches here in the press box, and that happened right in front of where the St. Francis coaches are.
Right.
They had such a good look at it. Obviously, they were communicating with their coaching staff. It didn't seem egregious, blatant, but again, it's kind of that scenario or that situation where, the safety of the ball carrier, of the rule, and you see that Martic going through the concussion protocol here on the sideline.
And I think it's the increased awareness of concussions that really drew the penalty more than anything else.
Yeah, so Bellarmine 1st and 10 from the 31, and whistles blow again.
That's a false start. Easy. We could see that one from up here. Buenrostro, a little too much movement. I think he was a little bit too anxious. Maybe it was a tell that he was going to get the carry. But he flinched right before the snap, so that's an easy false start call.
Phil Beltran's been a busy man tonight. False start again.
So what St. Francis giveth, Bellarmine giveth back. So St. Francis gives him 15 extra yards. Bellarmine said, no, we'll give you 5.
1st and 15 for the Bells, under 10 minutes to go. Trailing 14-10. Again, Bellarmine atop the standings, and considered this was supposed to be a rebuilding year. A bit of a surprise. They're atop the standings with Valley Christian and Sarah. All at 4-1 as Quinn dropping back to throw, going toward the far sideline to McCauley. And Bellarmine fans wanting a flag.
Yeah, there was nothing out there that warranted it. I mean, that was great on-ball defense by Armani Prince. And even just looking at the replay, I'm not too sure what would warrant a flag.
The price is right.
No, it was. And, yeah, I mean, Price had his head on the ball. I mean, I don't see what Bellarmine was looking for that warranted a flag, but there was nothing there. There was absolutely nothing there.
2nd and 15. 9:30 left to go in the 4th. Bells down by 4. Here comes Calamini. And Calamini, hard-earned yardage. Calamini, kind of interesting. He's really in there for his blocking ability and his defense, but he has certainly been effective on offense. Listen to this. He's only coming into this game, Philip. He only carried the ball 9 times, but he carried for 150 yards. That averages out to 16.7 yards per carry. one of the team captains, a two-way starter for the past 2 years, as Bellarmine calls a timeout. 9:08 remaining in the fourth. Lancers lead it 14-10, and big thanks to Pacific Office Automation for its generous support of this broadcast. Thank you so much for being our sponsor all season long, Pacific Office Automation. We certainly appreciate it. If any of our viewers are clients of Pacific Office Automation, please let them know how much we appreciate and how much you appreciate it, if you do, seeing sports, Santa Clara County High School sports on CreaTV Sports. We would not be able to do what we do without the support of the community. Big thanks to Pacific Office Automation.
What we're seeing right now, very, very key timeout being called by Bellarmine. Of course, they still have 2 left, but again, St. Francis defense, I think Coach Calcagno is still working the official's case, and maybe still a little bit hot under the collar from that penalty, who knows, but I think he at least wants to be heard. And there you see Troy Martig, who I'm not sure really if I'm not really sure if Martig is really going to be coming back into this game. It just looks like he may have gotten a little shaken up from that hit, and we'll see how that affects the Bellarmine offensive game plan.
Absolutely. Is Quinn out of the shotgun? Quinn rolling to his right, gets the ball away into the end zone, and penalty marker thrown. St. Francis hates the call. I will reserve judgment till we see the replay. The intended receiver, Buenostra Devin, Buenostra, pardon me.
Looking at it live, I think they have a case here, but let's watch this. Quinn rolling out. He just kind of lobs it. Intended for Buenostra, and I don't know. The contact looks like it came after Buenostra made contact with the ball. So I'm sorry, but I think St. Francis has a case there. I think that was a miscall. I really do.
PI the call. First down, Bellarmine. Again, 9:02 left to play. 1st and 10 from the St. Francis 16. Feel like the Lancers really need to focus here on the task in hand. I know they feel they've had some calls go against them. Time to buckle down and come down to the stop, and for Bellarmine, give it to Antonio Garcia. He has been paving the way to success, it seems, Antonio Garcia.
And another 5-yard run there for the Bells offense, really starting to feel like they've got new life breathed into them, and sometimes that's what a penalty in the end zone will do for you. And maybe they felt it's a little bit of vindication for the PI penalty that they didn't get earlier from Armani Price, but still, I think you hate it when penalties play such a big role like that. I have a feeling that call is going to be a big impact on how this game ends up.
Thomas Toki had the tackle for St. Francis on 2nd and 5. Maybe a pickup of 2 on the play. There's Garcia with another carry. Thomas Toki, the nose guard, 6'1", 290, 4-star recruit, a transfer from Kirkland, Washington. So St. Francis with a transfer from Austin, Texas. At quarterback, Toki, a transfer from Washington. Again, Toki will head up to Pullman, head back to Washington, go to Pullman, and play at Washington State next year. 7:45 left to go. Buenostra trying to turn the corner. He does. Touchdown, Bellarmine.
Well, something that St. Francis had been able to do throughout the entire evening is control the edge, control the outside runs, and the one time they aren't able to is when Buenrostro gets into the end zone for a touchdown, and Bellarmine taking the lead back. This is going back and forth now as far as the lead changing hands as the point after is up and good, but you have to think that pass interference penalty That call, I don't want to say it could have gone either way, but St. Francis has a case as to why that shouldn't have been called. But nevertheless, Bellarmine capitalizing on the opportunity. They now have the lead. And Buenrostro, again, there you see it. They're not quite able to get to the edge. Price can't get to it. And Buenrostro gives the Bells the lead.
7-yard run by Devin Buenrostro. Bellarmine leads at 17-13, 7:39 left to go in the ball game. Rivalry game between two programs that know each other so very well. And Bellarmine fans, such a great atmosphere. Always so noisy. Press box, so many folks up in the press box having to close their windows every time Bellarmine scores. It is a deafening din by the Bells Blue Crew.
A nice use of the word din. Impressive.
Thank you very much. St. Francis, well, it's kind of turning into a second half shootout here. You almost get the impression whoever's going to have the ball last and get into the end zone before time runs out may win this one, but we'll see what St. Francis is made of. Certainly did not get things to go their way on that last drive, but that's nothing not to take away from what Bellarmine did very well on that drive, and that was able to pick up first downs thanks in the most part to Antonio Garcia. And a touchback. Our first touchback of the night, as the return games have been cooking here at San Jose City College. It'll be 1st and 10 for St. Francis from the 20.
And I think you said it best. I mean, the return game has really played a big role for these teams to get good field position, and I think it's been very, very important. But if you're Bellarmine, yeah, you've got the lead right now, but let's just remember, they have not done well in guarding against the chunk plays that have kept the St. Francis Lancers in this one. So they need to be able to at least get a 3 and out. That would be nice, but they need to get a lid on the chunk plays right now because that's hurting.
Keno with a handoff. And St. Francis continuing to ride Ahoya. Junior running back. Fremont leads Wilcox 21-13 in the fourth quarter.
That's a bit of a stunner. Wilcox going into this week, a very, very strong team. And that De Anza division of the Santa Clara Valley Athletic League, it is brutal.
It is. And Palma 13-7 up on the San Benito Hail Balers, Hollister Hay Balers if you prefer. And Sacred Heart Prep up 35-14 over Burlingame. Valley Christian up 15-14 over Midi. We've got some nail biters here in the West Catholic Athletic League tonight.
That one is a bit of a nail biter, to say the least.
3rd and 2 for St. Francis. Ball on the Lancers' 28-yard line. 6:30 left to go. St. Francis trailing 17-14. And good meet and greet by Bergstrom of Bellarmine. He has been lethal tonight.
It's such a huge 3rd down stop. It makes it a 4th and 1 and essentially forces St. Francis into a punting situation, but not what the Lancers were looking for. They've had such great success, and the Lancers are not going to punt. This is a risky call right here.
This could be the ball game. 4th and 1. Bellarmine Pans bring the noise. And Green is just sick.
He knew it. He knew it as soon as he flinched, as soon as he saw the flag coming, he knew it was him. He knew it.
And the St. Francis coaches up here wearing the same expression of Dennis Green. Green, should be mentioned, accounts for both scores for St. Francis tonight. But this will bring up the punt team. Look at the I formation. He's in the middle, at the up back.
Yeah, he knew it. He knew it. As soon as the flinch happened, he knew that. And
Bellarmine with 2 back around the 35. The punting has been good tonight on both sides of the ball. And this one off the side of the foot, perhaps. And taking a St. Francis bounce, really. Now a St. Francis roll. But pretty decent field position for Bellarmine after the punt. It'll be 1st and 10 from the Bells. 33, 5:19 left to go. Bellarmine playing with a 17-14 lead. I would think the strategy is chew up clock, first down, chew up clock, first down.
Not necessarily in that order, but yeah, you definitely have the right idea. See, this is right in Bellarmine's wheelhouse. These kinds of situations are exactly what their offense is designed for. Like you said, chew up clock, get the yardage, maybe small bits at a time, but the ultimate goal is to keep the Lancers offense off the field. But the Lancers defense, they've held their own, but they need to control the outside. That's what has really done them in, especially on that touchdown run by Ben Worcester.
Quinn, low snap, but he recovers, picks it up off his shins, and rumbles through for a gain of 6 as Martig, with his helmet back on, standing right in front of Coach Janda. And Quinn will limp off. Bellarmine quarterbacks both taking their lumps tonight.
And actually Troy Martig is coming back in, but there you see Quinn doesn't look quite right. But really at the end of the season, who is?
2nd and 4, 4:45 left to go. Remember, St. Francis burned 2 timeouts in the 3rd quarter. That may come back to play a factor as Garcia, maybe a gain of 2 on the play.
It looks like it is about 2 on that one, so it brings up a 3rd and 2.
Martig not exactly looking all that peachy as he came off the field.
No, I think it's actually going to be a 3rd and 1 at this point, so we'll call that a 3-yard gain.
Oh, nice spot for the Bells. 3rd and 1.
But watch Stephen Deneen on this one. On some of these 3rd downs, he's had a very clear path to the quarterback. Can he get that rush going?
St. Francis looks like they're going to rush 5. And Quinn, first down, coming at the 3:53 mark. Griffin Quinn getting the chains to move.
And sometimes that is all you need right there, and that turns into a 5-6 yard gain. Their own 46-yard line. Clock continues to run, and now we're seeing those burned timeouts becoming a factor. I said this during the 3rd quarter when they burned that 2nd one. How is that going to affect the 4th quarter clock management? We're seeing it now.
.330 left to go. Garcia, maybe a pickup of 3 as Price in on the action. Another score, we saw Andrew Hill on CreaTV Sports earlier in the season lose a heartbreaker to Yerba Buena. I believe they are trailing Prospect 38-20.
There you see on that last play, Garcia trying to get to the edge on the outside and couldn't quite do so. But this is exactly what Bellarmine wants. They're getting the yards in bits and pieces.
2nd and long 6 for Bellarmine. Quinn takes it again and is tripped up. And the final score, Branham 38, Mount Pleasant 7. Branham league champs, 9-0. Congratulations to the Branham Bruins.
And a great story again, like I mentioned before. I remember watching them a couple of times this past year and how they struggled in some of the upper divisions of the Blossom Valley Athletic League. So they've had to go down now and clinching a league title, assuring them a CCS playoff spot, something they haven't been used to for quite some time. So Brandon's got a lot to look forward to.
It's good to be a Branham Broom fan tonight on 3rd and 6. And the Bells called their 2nd timeout. 2:02 left to go in the ball game. 3rd and 6 for the Bells, up 17-14 over St. Francis. And a big thanks to Bellarmine College Preparatory for their support of this broadcast. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. We have certainly appreciated being here at San Jose City College to bring you St. Francis versus Bellarmine. Thanks to Bellarmine College Preparatory for making it happen. And a rocking crowd here at Bellarmine. Senior night. And the Bells, of course, looking for a win here at San Jose City College. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone on the CreaTV Sports crew. What a season it's been. Thanks so much to the staff and volunteers for all of your hard work. Really been such a terrific season. It's been another good one. So thanks to everyone here at CreaTV Sports and also back at the station for all the support in bringing you high school athletics in Santa Clara County. Out of the timeout, 3rd and 6 for the Bells, just into St. Francis territory. Lancers look like they're expecting the run. And it's Martig with the handoff to Buenostro. Stopped by St. Francis.
That was a huge stop. That's exactly what the Lancers needed in order to give themselves one last shot. And the Lancers burning their last time out here, so they're really working without a net here.
Next play to decide the ball game, perhaps, as all 3 timeouts gone for St. Francis. The clock stopped at 1:54. Bellarmine Bells looking to improve to 5-1.
And a win would be very, very crucial to help keep that 3-way tie going if a lot of these other scores hold up, like you're mentioning. Valley Christian holding on in their game tonight, and depending on what Sarah does as well in their matchup with Sacred Heart Cathedral, you could have a 3-way tie for first in the West Catholic League heading into the final week of the season. Talk about some exciting stuff.
For sure. I mean, again, just the parity in so many of the leagues has made this such an exciting year in Central Coast Section football. St. Francis will play St. Ignatius next as Bellarmine kicks it away and takes a St. Francis bounce before down. So bunts, not liking the bounce, as St. Francis will have 1:43 left to work with. No timeouts. Bellarmine has the 1 timeout. And the Lancers will start what they hope to be the comeback drive, the winning drive from their own 29-yard line.
71 yards in 1:43 seconds. I think it's possible, especially with their propensity for chunk plays.
They go straight to the air. As you see, Bellarmine perhaps playing a little soft. Hebert with another catch. What a night he's had.
Well, and they're giving them the sidelines, which I'm not sure if you want to do that if you're Bellarmine right now, but
stops the clock.
Yeah, it does stop the clock. So with Hebert on the sideline, hey, if they're going to give you the sidelines, take advantage of it. Why not?
1:39 left. 2nd and 1 for the Lancers. Aquina has the first down as the clock continues to run. 90 seconds, and they're going to stop it, of course, for the chain gang to move.
And Aquina feeling the pressure coming up. He knew he had to get that first down, so he went and took it himself. And this is for the advantage they have with the clock stopping for each first down movement.
90 seconds and counting. As St. Francis methodically go to Hebert once again. It's pickup of 6, but again, stopping the clock with just a few seconds run off.
And again, they're just giving them the silence. It's like it's almost as if Bellarmine's sort of playing a soft zone coverage.
That's what it certainly seems like.
And I'm not too sure
the nearest defender.
Right, exactly. And I'm not too sure why, because you don't want to give them the sidelines. That's giving them an easy out to stop the clock.
1:24 remaining. Aquina again. And tackled inbounds. And Abear once again, and the clock stops, of course, for the first down. Akina looking so sharp. It looks like he and Abear certainly know how to play throw and catch.
Oh, and he definitely has the potential to be a very, very effective passer. And with this hurry-up offense, I think is right in his wheelhouse right now.
Akina under pressure runs toward the marker. And I think St. Francis wanting a.
But they wanted a late hit. They wanted one, and that was a close one.
And I think it broke the down marker.
Oh, we can watch it on the replay here. Akina really didn't have anything to go. He's just trying to keep the play alive and not take a sack. And not really any contact at the end. So
an official timeout to make sure the markers are set. The ball's at the Bellarmine 40, 65 seconds remaining. St. Francis trailing by 3. The Lancers, 3 receivers out left. Akina on the keeper. He's dropped after a gain of 6. You like that play call?
I actually do. It gives the Bells a little bit of a different look, and you're still making forward progress, which is good. But with the clock keeping on ticking, you got to go for the air at some point.
Akina going to the near sideline. Well defended. 41 seconds remaining. It's 4th down.
Well, this
Remember,
is
a field goal would tie it, Phillip.
Right. It definitely would. And Akina with some nice touch on this throw, giving his receiver a chance to win the jump ball battle, but Abear not quite able to come down. And
Buenostro on the coverage,
who has been actually burned a couple of times by Abear. So I think that was more for personal redemption on his own. But this is for the game right here.
41 seconds remaining. 4th and 5 for St. Francis from the Bellarmine 35.
If you're the Bells defense, watch those sidelines.
Twin receiving set for Akina. Akina running forward. He's not going to make it. Bellarmine will take over. The Bells celebrating. Good coverage downfield by the Bellarmine secondary.
The only turnover of the night happens on turnover on downs. And of course, Bellarmine has plenty to celebrate in what was supposed to be a rebuilding year. They now will go to 5-1 on the season in West Catholic play and keep that 3-way tie alive at least for another week, depending on, of course, what Valley Christian and Sarah does in this final week.
Quinn takes the knee, 25 seconds and counting. This is going to be a 3-point loss for St. Francis. And Phillip, I'll take you back to the first half where St. Francis elected to go for it on one occasion instead of potentially bringing the field goal. I'm sure the Lancers feel perhaps the calls didn't all go their way tonight, but it does not take away from such a strong second half put together by Coach Mike Janda and his Bellarmine Bells. Really was a tale of two halves for Bellarmine, looking slow, out of sync in the first half, but really dialed in and playing well in the second.
They really did, and they really had to rely on Antonio Garcia. And I talked about this in halftime. They really needed to get him the ball, and he really injected some life into this Bells offense, because in that first half, they looked a step behind. They looked like they were stagnant. They just could not get anything going. And once they fed him the ball, it's like everything started to come together. And then all of a sudden, you've got what had the makings of more of the type of game we expected from these two teams in the second half. And then, of course, I hate to bring this up, but I do believe that pass interference call, which was a little bit questionable. I mean, we looked at it during the live feed. We looked at it on the replay. I think it played a bigger impact than St. Francis will want to admit, and I think that really turned the tide on everything.
as the band playing Pharrell Williams Happy. Yeah, why not? If you're a Bellarmine fan, you're very happy indeed. The Bells, a 17-14 win over St. Francis. St. Francis moves to 5-4 overall, 3-3 in league play as Bellarmine picks up win number 8. 8-1 overall, 5-1 in league play. Back with CreaTV Sports halftime show. The Bells, a winner at San Jose City College tonight.
CreaTV San Jose would like to thank Pacific Office Automation for their generous sponsorship of our coverage of high school sports. It's because of our sponsors that CreaTV San Jose is able to cover high school sports throughout the city of San Jose.
Back at San Jose City College, Bellarmine leading in the second half for the first time tonight. A low-scoring first half. St. Francis led it 7-3, and then it was back and forth until Bellarmine really played itself into good shape in the second half.
They really did, and I think they needed something to get themselves going. And as you're seeing them celebrating at around the 40-yard line near midfield, it was almost like they were a different team in that second half. It really was. And
so before the game, the Blue Crew, the Bells Blue Crew with the baby powder, and it smelled so good here in the press box. I was trying to figure out why, and it was because of that baby powder smell wafting up from the stands below. You gotta love the Bell. Look at that atmosphere. Everyone's just smelling shower fresh on the Bellarmine side of the field as we turn to action. Mardig dropping back, and then the catch across the middle by Bringel. Bringel, a nice tall receiver, a good target. Mardig to Antonio Garcia. Garcia, the unquestioned workhorse. He fumbled on that play, but covered by Calameni.
And I think on that play, you can kind of sense that the brakes were starting to go Bellarmine's way a little bit.
And Mardig into the end zone. He is fired up, almost took himself down.
Yeah, so fired up, he nearly tripped over his own feet.
It's so hard when you come off the turf onto that track with your cleats. And Aquina on the option. And you just see the gremlins, the turf, just really wreaking havoc there. That could have been end zone for St. Francis.
And this was a classic back and forth second half. And Aquina making some great throws. This one to Bear when he was called down at the 1 yard line. He thought he had a touchdown at first, but Bear made some great plays. I mean, I was impressed watching him today.
Absolutely. One highlight reel after another. And then once again, Green in from 1 yard out. Green accounting for both St. Francis scores. And then Bellarmine trailing 14-10. Devin Buonostro from 7 yards out.
And he was actually beat on a couple of those big throws to Bear, so I think he needed that touchdown for his own personal retribution there, and that ended up being the game winner tonight. And just a tough loss for St. Francis. They now fall to 3-3 in league play, and at this point, the best that they could probably hope for is qualifying for the Division II playoffs, and really just for that, I don't know. This is just a tough one because I can't help but think, and I know we talked about this towards the end of that game, but I'm just going to say it again. That pass interference call. You hate to see games that are really decided by a penalty. And credit Bellarmine for taking advantage of the opportunity because some teams aren't able to do it. But I got to tell you something. I think that penalty decided the game. And you almost hate to see that because you want the players to decide. More than anything else, you want to see the effort on the field decide who wins that game. And I think, unfortunately, that pass interference call had a lot to do with it. And I hate to say it, but I think St. Francis has a case as to why that should not have been called. I mean, the contact happened after Buenrostro got his hand on the ball. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be for St. Francis, and Bellarmine took advantage of it. They now move to 8-1. And now with Valley Christian winning tonight,
that's right.
There's still a tie-up on the West Catholic, but it was important for Bellarmine to get that win because Valley Christian on homecoming night slaughtered Bellarmine. So Bellarmine needed to keep pace with this. And, of course, Sarah holds a tiebreaker over both Valley and Bellarmine at this point. So every league win is so crucial now. And now you've got potentially a three-way tie, depending on what Sarah does in this final week. Folks, this West Catholic title is far from decided. There's so many scenarios that could happen at this point.
Absolutely. Valley Christian, a final 15-14 over Mitty. Hollister, the Hay Bailers, taking the lead over undefeated Palma, 14-13. That game's still going on. I mention that because so many people think Palma, if they can stay undefeated, will be the #1 seed in the Open Division. This high school football season, there's one more week left in the regular season, then it's the playoffs. As Philip and I have been talking all night. Who knows what's going to happen? You need to follow high school sports, high school football to find out. This was a fun one. Bellarmine 17, St. Francis 14. Big thanks to everyone here at San Jose City College as well as both athletic departments. Please take the time to read the names of our crew, the hardest working crew in high school sports in the Bay Area for sure. On behalf of my partner tonight, Philip Kern, I'm Kirsten Fairchels. Thank you so much for joining us. Bellarmine victorious tonight, 17-14. See you in 2015.